There is a party happening right now, in a bright room filled with people who know how to speak, who know how to perform, and who know exactly how to draw the attention they desperately crave. And you are standing right in the middle of it, completely invisible. You are not shy. You are not antisocial. You are simply observing. Most people call this distance. They call it awkwardness. They call it weakness. But what if the behavior everyone misunderstands is actually a sign of a high-functioning, powerful mind? A mind so saturated with its own internal activity, its own analysis, its own world, that the external noise of small talk and performance feels like a physical drain? This is not a deficit. It is an operating system running on an entirely different level of processing. Psychology confirms that the tendency to simply observe reveals a profound level of emotional independence and an internal world so rich, the external one simply can't compete. The quietest person in the room is often the most hyper-aware, the least impressionable, and therefore the most dangerous to those who rely on manipulation or superficiality. By the end of this video, you will understand why your nature is not a flaw to be fixed, but a power to be protected. To understand the observer, you must first understand why your nervous system is wired differently. The journey of the silent observer begins not with a choice, but with a neurological difference. It starts with a brain that is simply absorbing too much data. Think of the average person's brain like a radio tuned to a single, clear frequency. They filter out the static, the low hum, the distant background noise. They hear what is being said. But the observer's brain, it is like 1,000 microphones, picking up every single sound, every subtle vibration, and every unspoken cue simultaneously. This trait, which psychologists call high sensory processing sensitivity, HSPS, is the biological root of why you feel exhausted after what others call fun. Where others hear a simple background noise, you hear layers, footsteps, conversations, air conditioning units, the subtle tension between two friends, and the hidden sadness behind a smile. Your mind gathers all this data at once, and it doesn't just gather it. It processes it, connects it, and analyzes it in real time. So when you walk into a busy street, a mall, or a noisy gathering, you instantly feel tense, overstimulated, or drained. Avoiding crowds is not weakness. It is your brain engaging in an act of survival, protecting itself from a total sensory overload. Your body isn't resting. Your entire operating system is running at max capacity, trying to make sense of the constant informational bombardment. You are not antisocial. You are simply protecting your mental space. This is why small talk is so painful. Small talk is the verbal equivalent of a screensaver. It's pleasant, low-effort background noise that keeps the social engine running. But for the observer, engaging in low-value conversation interrupts a high-value process. Your inner world is far more stimulating for you than trivialities about the weather or who won the game. Your mind refuses to rest until it sees the full picture. It craves depth and rejects surface answers. The simple, social game feels pointless. This need for depth, this aversion to surface-level performance, reveals itself clearly in your relationship with the digital world. The core psychological profile of the observer is defined by a fierce commitment to privacy over popularity. Have you ever noticed someone, maybe yourself, who never posts pictures online? No selfies, no updates, no announcements of life milestones. In a world where likes and comments have become a form of digital validation, these people almost seem invisible. But psychology says that behavior is not random. It reveals a lot about their confidence and emotional independence. Psychologists say people who rarely post tend to have a high privacy orientation, valuing control over what others see and think about them. While most people seek validation through likes and comments, the observer relies almost entirely on self-validation. They don't need to announce their life to feel good about it. Think about this contrast. People who constantly post photos are often seeking something: approval, a digital mirror that reflects back their worth. Their self-esteem is derived from the number of hearts they receive, but the observer's self-esteem comes from within. Their worth is self-defined. This quiet refusal to perform for the crowd is a subtle, profound sign of inner security. Research on self-concept clarity shows that people who share less often have a stronger sense of who they are. They know their values, their goals, and what truly matters without needing external approval. This makes them less likely to chase trends, compare themselves to others, or participate in the exhausting performance that is modern social life. Their happiness does not depend on how people react. It comes from within. For them, silence is not emptiness. It is control and the power to choose what the world doesn't get to know. This intense internal life naturally leads to a profound preference for sanctuary. If you are the observer, your home is not just four walls and a roof. It is the physical manifestation of your inner world. It is the one place where you can actually breathe. To outsiders, someone who loves staying home might seem antisocial, introverted, or lazy. But for the observer, their retreat is a necessary act of running toward peace, not running away from life. They are participating in life, just differently. Their inner worlds are highly active. Their imaginations, ideas, and emotions are vivid. Home is the sanctuary where all of that can breathe, free from the constant noise of comparison, pressure, and performance that exists outside. Psychologists call this high internal self-presence, the ability to feel more connected to one's inner world than the outer one. They don't need loud excitement to feel joy. They can stare at a window, sip a warm drink, and experience a kind of fulfillment that others chase in distant, crowded places. For some, this solitude is not just preference, but survival. Stressful jobs, toxic relationships, or difficult past experiences can make the outside world feel like too much. Home becomes the essential relief from the constant expectation to perform. But here's the complication. This same rich internal life, this intense sensory processing, can become a trap. The very intelligence that makes you such a perceptive observer can also quietly destroy your ability to make progress. Your brain is wired to connect everything. Psychologists call this hyperconnivity. You notice links between things most people miss. Two ideas that seem unrelated to others make perfect sense to you. This ability to connect the dots is one of the clearest signs of high-level intelligence. However, this same complex machinery leads to what is known as analysis paralysis. Let me guess. You have ideas that could change your life. A book outline, a business plan, a skill you've been meaning to master. You know exactly what to do, but you are stuck on step 0. The twist is, it's not because you're lazy. It's because you are too smart. The smarter you are, the more options you see. And options create hesitation. A regular person says, "I'll start a side hustle," and just begins. The observer sees 20 different models, compares case studies, and wastes 6 months in research. Analysis paralysis destroys progress. The people less smart than you, the ones who don't see all the complex variables, they often win because they actually pick a lane and start walking. You also fall into the trap of the illusion of productivity. You are always busy, but rarely moving forward. You convince yourself that research equals progress. You watch tutorials, highlight books, and build frameworks, but nothing ever ships. It's mental cardio, lots of energy burned, but you never leave the treadmill. Because the observer feels everything intensely, a trait often associated with giftedness, they rarely feel anything lightly. When you are happy, it's overwhelming. When you are sad, it feels crushing. Your emotional volume is always turned up. For the observer, this often leads to a state called emotional exhaustion. It's the feeling of being tired of existing. This is a point where the mind stops fighting, not out of weakness, but out of depletion. It happens when your emotional output has exceeded your emotional input for too long. On the outside, you look functional, working, smiling, doing what needs to be done. But inside, everything feels muted. Joy feels like a distant language. You want the noise to stop, the noise of expectations, the noise of comparison, the noise of pretending to be okay when every day feels like a performance you didn't audition for. This is often why people who are deep thinkers often feel misunderstood. While others see brilliance, you often see flaws. Focusing so much on what you don't know that you forget how much you actually do know. This pervasive self-doubt is strangely common among highly intelligent or gifted people. This intense inner life also affects how the observer handles their body's most basic needs, leading to the self-sabotage of chronic sleep neglect. You tell yourself you are fine on 4 hours of sleep. You brag about late nights, scroll until 3 a.m., and crawl out of bed like a zombie. But here's the reality. Sleep loss wrecks memory, attention, and decision-making. After one night without proper rest, your brain works like you are drunk. Intelligent people, the wise ones, guard sleep like treasure because they know it is their greatest tool. Neglecting it is not strength. It is a fatal kind of self-sabotage for a mind that is already working overtime. The deeper truth is that the observer is constantly seeking knowledge, even when it is painful. The observer often notices patterns in behavior and words that most people miss. Most people hear what is said. You notice why it is said. This is the essence of emotional intelligence, the ability to read between the lines. But this heightened awareness is a double-edged sword, because the very clarity that makes you sharp also makes you a target. You can spot the weakness, the manipulation, and the performance in others. But here's where the danger lies. You also become highly sensitive to the people who recognize your true value and try to exploit it. This is the critical next layer of the observer's journey. If you are an observer, you possess an ability that has been called a gift, the capacity to walk into a room and feel it all. The unspoken tension between two friends, the hidden sadness behind a smile. But this ability to see what others miss might be the most dangerous thing you will ever possess. The danger is not physical. It is far more subtle and devastating. It is the danger of becoming so aware that you can no longer participate in the beautiful unconsciousness that allows most people to live their lives in relative peace. Think about a party. Everyone is playing a game, and everyone knows the rules without ever being told. You ask how someone is, they say, fine, and you both pretend this is a complete answer. You laugh at jokes that aren't particularly funny. It is a collective agreement to stay on the surface, to keep things pleasant, and to not look too deeply. The observer, running on hyperconnivity, notices the effort required to maintain this pleasant surface. This ability to read between the lines, this emotional intelligence, can make you seem distant or intimidating to others who miss those subtleties. The consequence is a quiet separation. You are always watching the performance, never quite belonging to the audience. This hyper-awareness naturally cultivates a profound trait in the observer, a low tolerance for inauthenticity. You can spot fake behavior instantly, forced laughter, attention-seeking, drama. And once you see through it, you can't unsee it. Most people live happily in the middle layers of meaning, accepting surface answers. But the observer craves depth. They analyze everything, not out of anxiety, but out of curiosity. They question their first instinct and think deeper, a trait psychologists call cognitive reflection. When the observer encounters the shallow, performance-driven interactions of the outside world, they unconsciously retreat. They enjoy solitude because socializing often interrupts their thought flow. You recharge in silence, not because you dislike people, but because your inner world is simply more stimulating. This is where the social struggle lies. The observer's brain is busier analyzing people than actually bonding with them. You replay conversations in your head, dissect every word, and overthink how you came across. This comes from hyper-self-awareness, which is social poison. When you're stuck analyzing, you can't relax, and people sense that tension. It feels like distance, even when you're trying to connect. You don't mean to be cold. You're just trapped in mental observation mode. The observer, precisely because of their stillness and self-possession, often possesses an unintentional magnetism. Have you ever felt completely invisible when walking into a room? Here's what nobody tells you. The people who seem naturally magnetic aren't born that way. But the observer often possesses one key element naturally: non-neediness. You are one of the people who rarely dominate conversations. You listen, and you process what others miss: tone, emotion, logic. Psychologists call this active observation, a skill tied to both intelligence and emotional awareness. This ability to hold back, to observe more and talk less, makes your eventual words carry immense weight. However, this stillness and self-contained energy also draws a specific type of person: the energy parasite. This is where the observer's gift makes them a target. Toxic people don't attack you because they hate you. They attack you because they are starving for something they can't create themselves. They seek emotional energy, validation, or a sense of power. Toxic people feed on reactions. When you react fast, when your face changes, your voice gets shaky, or you try to defend yourself, you are giving them power over your feelings. You're showing them they can control you with just words. When someone tries to provoke you, you feel that surge of emotion, the need to respond, to correct them, to prove your point. That feeling is exactly what they wanted. When you engage, you're not standing up for yourself, you're feeding them. This is the hidden pattern behind every toxic interaction. Arguments aren't about winning, they're about feeding. The observer's integrity and silence frequently draw disrespect from people who mistake quiet reflection for weakness. You're in a meeting or with family. You share an idea, and a comment full of bullying gets thrown at you out of nowhere. Suddenly, all eyes are on you, like it's a social ambush. Your head fills with 1,000 lame ideas. Do you answer and make a scene? Do you laugh a lame laugh to seem lighthearted? Or do you stay quiet and blow up inside? Here is the brutal truth. Any of those choices is a loss. The one testing you is a small, arrogant person who thinks they're big when they put others down. When you leave, you replay the situation in your head, inventing the perfect reply you should have said. You lost because you engaged on their terms. This same pattern applies to gossip. You think staying silent makes you safe. You think laughing along makes you blend in. But every time you participate in gossip, whether by joining in, staying quiet, or just nodding, you're sending a silent message. I'm okay with this. You are telling people they can use you as an audience for negativity. And once they see you that way, they'll keep coming back. Not because they respect you, but because they know you won't stop them. This emotional trap is the final cost of the observer's great gift. Your ability to see the deep pattern in human behavior must be weaponized into self-protection. You must learn how to stop being the magnet for energy parasites. And that starts by understanding the silent power you are already sitting on. The only way out of this cycle is to stop reacting to everything people say. The speed of your reaction is your first big mistake. When someone says something mean and you react right away, you are giving them exactly what they want. But here is what nobody tells you about conflict. You can gain respect without lecturing anyone, without acting like you are better than them. The true power of the observer is not in seeing, it is in refusing to flinch. The observer's analytical paralysis is the final barrier to their fulfillment. Your high intelligence is ruining your life because it forces you to stop on step 0, convinced you need more research, more options, or more information before you can possibly begin. But here is the neurological truth. The same mechanism making you avoid hard work can be flipped to make you crave it. Your brain operates on a simple economic principle. It's constantly asking, what's the best return on energy investment? High effort with uncertain reward hits the brakes. Low effort with guaranteed pleasure gets a green light. The key to escaping this trap is to finish what you start. Your brain is wired to chase closure. Every time you complete something, even something as small as washing the last dish, completing a workout, or sending the email, you trigger a chemical reward, dopamine. This small burst makes you feel good and urges your brain to do it again. The observer's brain learns that avoidance feels safer than completion. To your mind, it can do easier work but still receive dopamine. So why would it bother doing the harder but more beneficial task? You must push through and close the loop. You must teach yourself that effort pays off more than escape. Finishing becomes its own addiction. Every small win rewires the system in your brain. The observer's ultimate power is the mastery of stillness in the face of provocation. You must realize that when someone insults you or tries to trigger you, and you stay calm, you have achieved a psychological feat the other person cannot match. When the other person insults you, their heart races and their body screams to defend itself. But the observer next to them doesn't even blink. This is the difference between being a victim of your emotions and being the master of them. The most powerful psychological technique to deal with toxic people is not about fighting back. It's about making you psychologically unfathomable. You do this by stopping the reaction before it even starts. If someone says something mean to you and you react right away, your face changes, your voice gets shaky, you are giving the toxic person power over your feelings. You are showing them they can control you with just words. Toxic people feed on reactions. It's like food to them. The strategy is simple, but requires immense inner strength. Stop reacting to everything people say. When you fix this just one single time, everything flips. Mean people will suddenly leave you alone. Good people will start treating you better. Toxic people disappear because they realize you are no longer the source of energy they seek. The observer, by refusing to be provoked, essentially starves the energy parasite. The number one thing you must eliminate is the need to be understood. Psychology calls this social validation dependency. It is the craving for others to get you, approve of you, or see your side. But your peace cannot depend on someone else's perception. Once you accept the brutal truth that most people won't understand you, and that this is perfectly okay, you free your mind from constant emotional negotiation. Your energy returns. Your silence becomes power. The relentless struggle to articulate the complexity of your inner world to the surface dwellers finally ends. The second thing to remove is the guilt for outgrowing people. There is a phenomenon called identity dissonance. It happens when your growth clashes with the old version of you that others still remember. They will say, "You've changed." And they are right. You are supposed to. Never apologize for evolving beyond your environment. It means you've broken the loop your mind was trapped in. The third thing is the pressure to explain why you choose solitude. The observer is often asked why they aren't doing more, why they aren't posting, why they aren't going out. You do not owe the world an explanation for the maintenance of your inner sanctuary. When you internalize these lessons, you become what is often called the awakened soul. This is when the veil of ordinary consciousness starts to slip, and you catch a glimpse of what is actually going on here. The awakened observer often begins quietly disappearing from society. This withdrawal is not a sickness or antisocial behavior. It is the natural response when you realize that almost everything people are doing is a kind of sleepwalking. They are playing roles, repeating lines, and chasing things that have no real substance. When you are asleep yourself, this is no problem. You fit right in. But once you wake up, you can no longer stand the conversations, the parties, or the performances. The secret is not to try and pour the ocean of your complexity into the teacup of someone else's understanding. There are certain things you simply cannot share. This is why the spiritually sensitive are often born into difficult or toxic families. It is not a mistake. Sometimes the hardest soil produces the strongest trees. The real awakening often comes through fire. It comes through having everything you thought you needed stripped away until all that remains is what you truly are.